Matt Lewington from Enhanced Physiotherapy. Going to do a taping video today for shoulder dislocations. The most common form of shoulder dislocation is an anterior dislocation where the shoulder joint will pop forward. So what we want to do with this taping is ensure that we have support through the front of the shoulder to resist that movement. The most common point for the shoulder to dislocate is when we come into abduction and external rotation. So this is also the movement that we want to avoid, particularly for overhead activities with people that are playing football and water polo. So the starting position is the exact opposite of that. We want to come into a slight internal rotation, and we can do that by having Hugh's hand on his hip. So we'll just pop your hand on your hip. Perfect. Once we've got Hugh into this position, then we can start our taping. We'll start with an anchor. Unlike the AC joint, this is just really a passive anchor to start our taping from, so we're not having any pressure, and we'll have an anchor around the bicep. It's important to put this on with them flexed so that when they're moving around, blood going to the muscles, that we're not cutting into that area while they're playing sport. Now that we've got those two anchors on, what we want to do is apply some tape from the front of the shoulder, wrapping around and finishing towards the back of the tricep area. We can do a couple of layers overlapping each other by about a third to half the tape width. This will apply some strength and support through the front of the shoulder. As we apply this tape, we're just going to apply a slight backwards force as well, just to push that head of the humerus back. So often that can be enough for someone. If we get Hugh to come up into this position, you'll be able to see that it does restrict him a little bit with the external rotation. If we come back down onto the hip, sometimes we'll need a little bit more support, or we might like to get a slight lift of that head of humerus as well. So we can sometimes apply, much like the AC taping, an upwards force as well. So with that, we would start on the bottom anchor and just applying a slight lift up towards the top anchor. So as you can see, we've got a really nice support across the front of the shoulder now, which will help to resist any anterior dislocation, but it also allows Hugh to still move through the back of the shoulder quite freely. Once we're happy with the support that we've got through the shoulder, we can either lock off with our rigid tape. Alternatively, if you do have a stretch tape, we can apply a figure 8 around, coming back up, much like you would see with lots of the AFL footballers. Just provide some stability and some compression when the athlete's sweating with their gameplay. If we don't require that, then we can simply lock off again by applying a piece of tape over the top. And one around the bicep, making sure that Hugh's flexing his arm again in this area. Perfect. So we'll just see Hugh coming up into that position. As you can see, you can still get the range, but he's getting some tightness and tension through that tape, which will stop him going back into that extension. If we come right up into forward flexion, we can see that he's still able to get up there for marking the ball, but it just resists a little bit of this end range hyperextension of the shoulder. Thanks.